Pay close attention. What you're seeing today is fulfilling Bible prophecy.
Welcome to YPN News, bringing you news as it relates to Bible prophecy. Katan, we have a major earthquake to talk about this week. We see North Korea test firing a long-range missile, and we see the continual unrest in Syria.
That's right, Jeff, but we're going to start off this week with an earthquake that struck off the coast of Sumatra. But not just a tiny earthquake, an 8.6 magnitude earthquake. Now, this was followed by an 8.2 magnitude aftershock. Warnings quickly followed of a possible tsunami because of early detection systems recently in place. Now, these systems came after an earlier, deadlier quake that hit on December 26th of 2004.
And that was the one that almost killed 250,000 people.
That's right. And it also generated waves upwards of 100 feet in height.
Now, fears were calmed after the tsunami warnings were dropped. What made this quake different from the one in 2004 was the shifting of the plates horizontal instead of vertical. In 2004, the sudden upthrust caused the shockwave that produced a massive tsunami. This time, the plates slid sideways instead of ramming into one another. Therefore, the warnings and fears were quickly dropped.
Now, moving on eastward to North Korea, the North Korean government surprised the United States and other nations with an unannounced missile launch last Friday. The long-range missile was detected by U.S. radar and satellites. North Korea said its aim was to put an Earth observation satellite in space that would monitor crops and forests.
As reported by CBS correspondent David Martin, the three-stage rocket was supposed to follow a flight path that would travel due south, a trajectory that would not threaten the U.S. in any way. Its stages would splash down an open ocean, while the satellite, whose Korean name means bright star, should be propelled into polar orbit.
Of course, the U.S. is using its Navy and radar to track the rocket's flight. Now, while this is a non-threatening launch, Secretary of State Hillary Clinton referred to this launch as a test to see if the missile could handle a nuclear warhead. She said there's no doubt that this satellite would be launched using ballistic missile technology.
In response to this launch, Clinton also said that a deal that would have sent food aid to North Korea will be canceled. The U.S. expects a possible underground nuclear test in response to this, as they have detected tunneling in a remote area of North Korea.
Wow. And they're going to punish the people by not giving them food because of what the government's doing. Amazing. Now, it's evident the North Korean peninsula will remain in a tense situation with this tit-for-tat going on between them and the United States.
Syria is calling for a ceasefire, and so far, the majority of the gunshots have stopped. This is the first break since the president, Bashar al-Assad, set out to squash a freedom movement that began over a year ago. Former head of the UN, Kofi Annan, has said that Assad has not fulfilled all the terms of the truce that Annan had negotiated with him.
As one CBS reporter was quoted as saying, 3 miles from the center of Damascus, the ceasefire was holding, but the army had not pulled back as they had promised to do. Although the Syrian government had refused filming, undercover footage showed tanks within the city and checkpoints every couple blocks. Outside Damascus, in homes in Hama, in areas of resistance, videos showed equally heavy military presence, in violation, of course, of the agreement.
The government says they have pulled back, but Syrian's foreign minister spokesman refused to say when the rest would follow. Protesters refuse to believe that Syrian government will uphold the ceasefire agreement and are determined to demonstrate, showing their determination to oust their current president.
Now, during the past year, tens of thousands of people protested, demanding more freedom and political change. Soon after came the crackdown by the Syrian government. This resulted in thousands of deaths on both sides. Syrian foreign minister concluded by saying dialogue and reconciliation are the only ways out.
Many protesters say they will negotiate as long as the negotiations lead to President Assad stepping down. Some believe the Syrian government will not agree to those conditions, which leave the prospects for an agreement and any type of peace very slim.
Well, those prospects are going to remain slim, Jeff, until these nations decide to find a peaceful solution as taught by Yisrael Hawkins and then start to put it to work within their own governments and throughout their nations. Until then, they're going to bring themselves to the brink of destruction where they're going to wipe out 4/5 of mankind over the face of the whole earth.
Well, stay tuned to hear Yisrael Hawkins give you the solutions to all these problems and many more as he explains Bible prophecy. From all of us here at YPN News, I'm Jeffrey Heimerman.
And I'm Katan Alexander.
Thanks for joining us.